By the beginning of the 1930s, Winston Churchill's early life of ambition and achievement had become a disillusioned middle age. He spent much of his time at home, at Churchill in Kent, writing prodigiously, including a history of his soldier ancestor John Churchill, the first Duke of Marlborough. Churchill believed that leadership was in his blood. He traced it to the founder of his dynasty, John Churchill's father, the first Winston.
He was one of the most potent of sires, the father of the greatest captain of the age, but the head of the armies of Britain. The military strain flowed strong and clear in him. It was his blood that carried his message.
As a child, at his ancestral home at Blenheim Palace, he had gazed in wonder at Marlborough's famous battles. His own quest for a place in military history had ended in the disaster of the Dardanelles in 1915. In 1932, his book research took him to Germany to visit Marlborough's battlefields. There he witnessed a new and ominous force in Europe, arising from a defeated but volatile Germany.
These bands of sturdy Teutonic youths, marching through the streets of Germany with the lights of desire in their eyes, to suffer for their fatherland, are not looking for status. They are looking for weapons. And when they have weapons, believe me, they will then ask for the return of their lost territories.
Churchill was 57 years old. He was an outsider, a political maverick. But his warrior instincts were aroused by the threat of Adolf Hitler. Was he the enemy Churchill believed he was destined to meet? Was this the battle he knew he was born to fight? Winston Churchill had emerged despondent from the Conservative Party's defeat in the 1929 general election. He was increasingly at odds with current political thinking.
He was roaming in a political wilderness, and he was out of favour, politically, very out of favour with his own party. He'd left the Liberal Party, he was a Conservative, and he was really out of sync with his party line. And I think quite a lot of them mistrusted him.
But Churchill soon found a new battleground, the challenge to the British Empire posed by the growing independence movement in India.
It is never possible to make concessions to Orientals. If they once think they have you at a disadvantage, all their moods become violent.
Churchill was scathing about Gandhi, one of India's leading figures. He said it was nauseating that a seditious Middle Temple lawyer, a half-naked fakir, of a type well known in the East, should be negotiating with Britain. His reactionary views were not popular, even with old friends like Liberal leader Archie Sinclair.
I suspect that Churchill, all his life, felt that the empire was the key to Britain's success in the world. In many ways, he felt very strongly about the position of the empire and felt that India was the battle that had to be fought. And I think it was probably one of those areas where he was wrong.
By 1935, Britain had granted India limited local self-government. Churchill's battle was lost. He withdrew to Chartwell. But even at home, Churchill's life wasn't always happy. His wife, Clementine, had taken a 4-month cruise in the Far East. He found the separation unbearable.
My beloved Clemmy, it makes me gasp to look at the map and see what enormous distances you have covered. How glad I shall be when you turn homewards.
While Clemmy was away, Winston wrote to her constantly.
1st of January 1935. My darling one, I send you Chartwell Bulletin number 1, which will conclude, like Napoleon's famous bulletin after his Russian catastrophe, the health of the Emperor is excellent. 10th of March. I am very glad you are not going to Ceylon. Owing to their rash experiment in Home Rule, they have let down all their sanitary arrangements, and so have the plague. 11th of April. One of the heifers has committed an indiscretion before she came to us, and is about to have a calf. I propose, however, to treat it as a daughter.
In December 1936, a grave national crisis brought Churchill back to the centre of political life. The King, Edward VIII, had decided to marry Wallis Simpson, an American divorcee.
My father, I think, judged the mood of the country wrong. You see, it wasn't only this country, the Commonwealth were absolutely rock solid that they wouldn't accept Mrs. Simpson as Queen. And my father was always, right up to the last possible point, trying to find some way that the King could remain on the throne. I mean, he viewed an abdication as very bad and striking a blow at the whole institution.
May I ask my right honourable friend?
Churchill, a staunch royalist and a romantic, tried to support the King in the House of Commons.
That no irrevocable...
Yet again, he was a lone voice.
Before the House had received a full statement.
He was shouted down.
Not only upon the personal, but upon the constitutional issues involved. To the present occupant...
After the debate, he said, "I'm finished." Churchill helped the King to write his abdication speech.
A few hours ago, I discharged my last duty as King and Emperor.
As Churchill listened to the broadcast, he wept.
That I have found it impossible.
The empire had been threatened in India. Now the monarchy had been shaken to its foundations. And he knew there was an even greater danger facing Britain.
Without the help and support of the woman I love.
Only a few hours away by air, there dwells a nation of nearly 70 millions of the most educated, industrious, disciplined people in the world. You are being taught from childhood to think of war and conquest as a glorious exercise, and death in battle as the noblest fate for man.
Although he'd been the great political outcast of the 1930s, Churchill, stubborn as ever, continued to speak out about the threat of Germany's leader, Adolf Hitler.
Churchill was always his own man, and once he decided that something was correct, he would go for it hook, line and sinker. And his fight against appeasement and his warning of the dangers of fascism and particularly of Nazism was proved to be absolutely spot on.
Churchill addressed the Commons about Hitler's menace.
I predict that the day will come, at some point or other, on some issue or other, when you will have to make a stand. And I pray to God that when that day comes, we do not find that we have to make that stand alone.
2 oder 3 Monate vergangen sind, wird euer Terror beseitigt sein. Verwahren wir das Nationalsozialismus!
By September 1938, Germany had annexed its neighbor, Austria. The Prime Minister, Neville Chamberlain, traveled to Munich to negotiate with Hitler. He tried to appease the Führer by agreeing to his occupation of the German-speaking region of Czechoslovakia.
People got really angry with each other about the question of appeasement in Munich. We were all absolutely disgusted by, peace in our time. Peace with honor, peace in our time. We regard it as a shameful betrayal.
On March the 15th, 1939, Hitler occupied